I was pleased with the victory. Game one, I think, is always important for your team and for your season. I think for a number of reasons, lending credibility to methodology through the year or through the fall camp, it's good to see return. And so camp was 4 weeks, and to now have a return on their investment is always motivating and necessary. We've worked hard to reshape what we do offensively. That is still at the beginning stages, but I think you saw some of that direction with the combination of Jordan and Bryce, and then and some of the throw game coming off of that. I think that defense, we played consistently. Turnovers were effective and timely. Good defense on third down. And special teams, I would say, was neutral. Not necessarily a plus, not necessarily a minus, but a starting point. So I'm pleased with the progress our program is making. I recognize we're still at the beginning of what this particular season will look like, this offense will look like, and this team, but there's a different poise, a different maturity, and a different clarity and confidence certainly from 2 years ago or 3 years ago in our opener. And our roster is becoming deeper. Our practice habits are allowing us to be more physical now that especially we have some injuries that are healing up. And so a good start to the season. I'll take questions.
We'll start over here with Jeff and then go to Mike Marvin.
Jordan and Bryce both rushed for more than 100 yards. Obviously, they got some of those on their own, but there were also holes there. Was the blocking better than it has been?
The blocking is better. The design is also different. When you have a quarterback run threat, yards are easier on the ground. We believe that a quarterback run threat takes more pressure off the other 10 players. The defense usually runs out of numbers, and when that happens, then the pass game and big plays are opened up that way, which you saw Alameda and I think Hassis, and there were some big plays on the perimeter. So I'm not going to say the yards are misleading, but it's a different style. And we believe Jordan Ellis is home base. He's physical, he's durable, he's consistent, and he has to be able to move the chains inside, and that keeps the defense tight and then allows Bryce and others to do what we need them to do.
First off, who broke the stone?
Jordan Ellis.
And second, a year ago you averaged...
And it's actually a rock.
Sorry, rock. A year ago
it's new.
I'm learning.
Yeah.
You averaged under 4 plays a game of 20 yards or more. I think today you had 7 or 8 of those. When you see that, one, obviously a good sign, but was that coming from the players, from the scheme combination?
It's both. We have some dynamic players, certainly, that have speed and that are good on the perimeter when you start looking at Alameda and then add Joe Reed. And we just saw a little bit of Tavares Kelly tonight. And then you add the physical presence of Jordan Ellis and PK, and then Bryce you can count inside and outside. There starts to just be more dynamic players on the field, which that allows more lanes to run, and that allows more time of possession. And as long as those dynamic plays can happen in the run game as well, that's a bonus, so there's less risk. But we did enough in the pass game today to we were a little bit farther along, actually. Regardless of the interception for a touchdown, there was enough in the pass game coming off the run game that I thought showed some progress.
Were both of Bryce's touchdown runs, as they appeared to the untrained eye, designed passes that he just then decided to run?
I'm trying to remember. The first one certainly was a scramble. And that was going left to right. I don't remember the other one.
It was also in the first quarter.
No, I think the second one was a designed quarterback run. So there are some plays that look as designed to be passes, and there's a delay, and then there's a design after that. So I believe the second one was a designed run.
Bronco, you said this week that you thought you knew what Bryce could do, but hadn't seen him do it yet. Kind of what's your assessment, and kind of as the game went on and you could see what he could do, Maybe excitement
Yeah.
level in that, or just kind of.
Yeah, it looks like practice. That was probably the most pleasing thing to me, is it looked just like practice. Yeah, so there was some miscues, but there was dynamic play. The chains were moving. You never know when he might just go the whole way. And then there's elements of his game and as our team's game that clearly show we need work. But I'm really glad, and to his credit, that he was able to carry practice habits to this point into the game, and it looked the same. So that shows, or it tells me a lot based on the work that we can get him in practice, that he is able to retain it. He will be able to execute it at that level and carry it on to game day on Saturday, which I wasn't sure, but he carried it exactly on. It looked like practice.
Coach, 2 years ago in this game over here, you guys, you mentioned a lot from that point forward in that season, the way that guys responded to negative plays on the field. Bryce throws that pick six. What did you see from your kids on the sideline? And aside from just the outcome of the game, what was different from your guys after that point?
Oh, I think it just made them mad because they want to play well. Not mad at Bryce. It's just like they're holding themselves to a higher standard. Again, they call it a new standard, and they don't like mistakes. And so rather than like what's going to happen, it's turning just to enough of that. There's less tolerance, there's less patience for it, and there's a higher level of expectation. And I kind of felt that. It's just like, no, we're not doing that.
Go to the back then, Doug. Coach, your first game as UVA head coach was a loss to Richmond, 37-20. What did this win against Richmond mean for you tonight?
Oh, I don't really measure it against that. This team in year 3, coming off of our first bowl appearance, it's exactly as I would have liked it to go. We worked really hard to become more physical, to work on a style of play that we think will help move this program in the direction it needs to for consistency and sustainability. And man, the amount of work that's gone in from our game against the Naval Academy today has been significant, and the direction is different. So I've been measuring it more against that than my first game.
Was it shades of 2013 when they told you to go back to the locker room because of the weather alert?
Yes, and I was just like, you gotta be kidding me. What is it about Virginia football and weather?
That was an opening game as well.
Yeah, so I prefer this outcome. And this length of delay, I think that one was 2 hours if I remember right. And somewhere in my coaching manual, I didn't know exactly how to manage 2 hours of sitting in the visitors' locker room.
Coach, when did you know you were getting Bernie back on the field, and how important was he tonight in terms of disruptiveness just to your defensive success?
Bernie was back last Friday for his first practice Saturday, and so he had, and we were pretty light on Wednesday and Thursday of this week, so he basically had 2 full practices, as well as Mandy. Mandy came back, I think, on Monday.
Staying up there on the defensive line, Jordan Redmond, I know you haven't reviewed, but what did you think initially of his play, and how much did he play? Did he go the whole game at nose? Did you use anyone else?
He was playing nose in base defense, which after the first couple of drives we were at nickel pretty frequently. But Jordan has shown us enough that he's physical and he's capable, and it allows us to play Eli at both positions, which helps us with depth. And so I have not seen the film, but I've seen enough in fall practice to know that he will have a role, and he'll have a role most likely as long as he's healthy this year.
You mentioned special teams being some good, some bad. When Brian Delaney can consistently get you touchbacks like
Love
that, how much does that help what you want to do?
That was a real bright spot to me. The touchbacks, I think they had 1 return, and it gave us a chance to at least see what the coverage looks like. The punt game was also, we had a chance to see our new scheme and how that protection looked. So I was encouraged by that, and we had a chance to attempt some kicks. So plenty of film and situations to review with, again, the kickoffs, I would say bright spot. The rest, nothing to really jump out and say, man, I love that.
Bronco, how would you assess your pass defense? Gave up some big
Yeah.
plays, but Richmond was far under 50%, and you had 2 picks.
We thought Richmond had 3 very skilled receivers coming into the game, and we liked our matchups as a secondary. It surprised me that they could throw and catch at the level they did, and some of those throws were, to Richmond's credit, were exceptional throws. Those windows were small and they were well covered. So I think that the matchup, as we shifted more to man coverage and man free, saying that we like those matchups, it became clearer that they were skilled, and their quarterback out of the pocket was able to throw and hit some of those. Then as we started in the end of the game to blend enough zone, the 2 last interceptions were just compliments to the man, and we played a little zone and that. So we're still kind of finding our identity defensively, but to Richmond's credit, they threw and caught the ball on some of those really, really well. The longest, or one of the long ones earlier, was an RPO to the 3rd receiver that split us, and so they had a good play called, and we didn't execute very well defensively on that play. But not a defensive touchdown was allowed, and I think they have a chance to be pretty dynamic. Richmond, I'm talking about, and I like their quarterback, and I like their receivers.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
Thank you.